Yad aksharam vedavito vadanti vishanti yad yatayo vitaragaha Yad ichanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam sangrehena pravakshiye Yad aksharam vedavito vadanti vishanti yad yatayo vitaragaha Yad ichanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam sangrehena pravakshiye. So, I don't know how you usually proceed, but does anyone repeat or you just go on to the
time, yeah.
word for word? Okay. So now let's go forward. Yat, that which. Okay, so another thing, I don't think we have any translators, but just to make sure everybody speaks English. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can just go on. So, Aksharam, Silabo Veta Vitaha, person conversant with the Vedas. Vadanti, say, Vishanti, enter, Yat, in which, Yatayaha, great sages, Vitaragaha, in the renounced order of life, Yat, that which, Ichantaha, desiring, Brahmacharyam, celibacy, Charanti, practice, that te, unto you, Padam, situation, Sangrahena, in summary, Pravakshiye, I shall explain. So the Supreme Person, Lord Krishna, says, persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkar, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. So now let's read the purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Lord Sri Krishna has recommended to Arjuna the practice of Satchakra Yoga, in which one places the air of life between the eyebrows, taking it for granted that Arjuna might not know how to practice Satchakra Yoga. The Lord explains the process in the following verses. The Lord says that Brahman, although one without a second, has various manifestations and features, especially for the impersonalist. The Akshara, or Omkar, the syllable Om, is identical with Brahman. Krishna, he explains, the impersonal Brahman, into which the renounced order of sages enter. In the Vedic system of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught to vibrate Om and learn of the ultimate impersonal Brahman by living with the spiritual master in complete celibacy. In this way, they realize two of Brahman's feature. This practice is very essential for the student's advancement in spiritual life. But at the moment, such brahmachari, unmarried celibate, life is not at all possible. The social construction of the world has changed so much that there is no possibility of one practicing celibacy from the beginning of student life. Throughout the world, there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. Unless one practices celibacy, advancement in spiritual life is very difficult. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced, according to the scriptural injunction for this age of Kali, that in this age no process of realizing the Supreme is possible except the chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki Jai, Mahaprabhu ki Jai, ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So we read the verse again. So, persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkar, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. So now we're gonna go and do the invocations. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Jananjana Sadakaya Shakshuru Militam Yena Tashme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutare Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Narati Svapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatani. Hare Krishna. Thank you for being patient with me. So I'm new to this yatra, so I would like to thank everyone for welcoming me and allowing me this opportunity to do this service. So I will try my best, my utter best. I will really try the best I can to actually share something and give something that may be beneficial to all of us through the words of Shri Krishna, and by hearing Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It's always auspicious. It is said that even if everything is inauspicious, like it's raining, even if all the signs, the planets are positioned the wrong way, and everything that we have been through the day is going wrong, but if we come to hear a Harikatha, then everything becomes auspicious. So like this, we understand that just by getting together and hearing this transcendental literature, which is non-different from Krishna, then we are getting a lot of spiritual advancement knowledge. So this particular verse is interesting because when I saw it, I reacted like this. Oh, what am I gonna say about this? But this verse speaks about Brahman, the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. So as devotees, we have this little difficulty to kind of relate to this Brahman. And there's many examples, but I will tell you first one joke that Prabhupada made in this regard. So Prabhupada was telling his disciple during class, so what is the difference between a devotee and those who are impersonally, so those yogis who are trying to merge, those sages like he says here, trying to merge with the Brahman. And why the devotee doesn't actually go or strive for that type of perfection? Prabhupada says because the devotee, he's preparing his various services, and let's imagine now that this devotee, this Bhakta, Krishna Bhakta, wants to offer a garland to the Lord. So now, with this conception of Brahman, the devotee is thinking, where am I going to put the garland? So this effulgence Brahman is like the sky. It's all pervading. So this is a problem for the devotee because he doesn't know how to serve that. Because the whole process of devotional service is to be of service. And so the devotee is mainly interested in how to have a relationship and establish a relationship with the Supreme Person, like Mataji explained in her class the other day. So here we are talking about Sambandha, understanding our eternal position in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there's a particular verse that Arjuna pronounces in Bhagavad Gita, and he describes who is Brahman and what is Brahman. So this is very important to understand what is Brahman. And Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavritam, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Savatam Divyam, Adidevam, Ajam Vibhum. So he describes Krishna as the Supreme Person, So this Param Brahman, he's Para Brahman, he's the supreme Brahman. So it is also described in Srimad Bhagavatam, we were just reading this morning, that actually this effulgence of the Lord is just a reflection of Krishna luster or effulgence. This a Brahman or light emanating and pervading everything, and we can see it as the light of the sun, for example. So we know the sun is pervading how? Because of the sunshine. Now, how does Krishna is pervading within not only the spiritual world but also the material world? We know it because it is effulgent, the light emanating from him. And we give some example. So this effulgence actually is described. The light we see here in this material world coming from the sun is only a reflection of that Brahman. So that eternal light coming from Krishna is also what gives us light in this material world. Because this material world is actually darkness. It's completely darkness. So when Brahma, the first living entity, wakes up when he, from the lotus flower, that comes out of Mahavishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, sorry. So he realizes that there's absolutely nothing. There are no stars, there's just completely dark, So this world is like this. But then, in order to create, in order there to be knowledge or light, he has to go within and meditate. So he do these austerities or meditation until he hears tapa, austerities. So by hearing this, you understand, I have to perform austerities. And by performing those austerities, he gets knowledge on how to create the universe and so on. But we understand that this knowledge or light is also coming from Krishna. So the Omkara or sound vibration is also coming from the Lord. He says it's non-different from the Brahman. So we need to be careful and understand this, because from the Omkar, Om, comes the Gayatri. And from the Gayatri come all the Vedas. And for the Vedas come the Vedanta Sutra. And from the Vedanta Sutra, we get the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is an actual commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So all this has been written by Vyasadeva. And because he has compiled all this literature, it's for us to understand the ultimate conclusion. What is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? What is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam? So we see that actually when Krishna explains these different types of knowledge, because throughout the Bhagavad Gita he will explain so many different types of knowledge. He will explain about Atma Gyan, knowledge about the soul. He will explain about Karma Yoga, knowledge about karma, how to connect karma to the Supreme. He will explain about Bhakti Yoga. And he will also explain about Gyan Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, and all these different types of knowledge. But every time he explains some different type of process, Arjuna tells him, look Krishna, I just need one. I just need one process. I'm confused because there's too many paths, too many ways. I just need one way. Just give me one way that I can practice. So if we hear from one of the Goswamis, Jiva Goswami, he explains how should we actually understand Bhagavad Gita? Because if there's so many processes, how do we know which is best actually? So we have many interpreters and people who have studied Bhagavad Gita and given so many different interpretations. But he says like this: if you study a book, the topic that comes out the most is the actual essence of the book, is the subject matter of the book. So if we see in those different chapters, when Krishna explains, for example, Dhyana Yoga, he explained the process of meditation, of performing yogic postures, Ashtanga Yoga, and everything like that. So at the end of the chapter, Krishna says, Yogi namapi sarve sammad gatinanta atmanaha. That the best of yogis is actually the one who meditates only. So he tells Arjuna, of all the types of yogis there is, become a bhakti yogi. That is the best. So even when he explains different processes, Krishna always ends by telling Arjuna, yes, I have explained all this to you, but ultimately the best for you is to become just a devotee. So in this chapter as well, if we, just to prove this, to give some evidence, if we go to the very last verse of this chapter, So Krishna says, a person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the result derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So you see that it doesn't matter what kind of process Krishna will explain into, like the sages merging into the Brahman. He always end up by telling Arjuna, actually the best process is you just surrender unto me, saramdamam parityaja mamekam sharanam praja, and I will take care of everything. Do not worry, like this. So this actually facilitates, and to me, I find it very easy then to understand and follow one process. I don't have to worry about performing so many different types of austerities. I don't see myself actually, practicing these things. And Arjuna says the same. He literally tells Krishna, God, he looks at him in the eyes and says, Krishna, what you're telling me is impractical. I can't do this, So, you have to find deer skin or sit on kusha grass, having your back erect, and you have to have the eyes not too close, but just halfway closed, because you don't want to sleep, You have to focus the life hair on the middle of your forehead, and so many different things. And I'm also like Arjuna. If Arjuna, which is the greatest warrior, and that in those times, couldn't perform those austerities, what is my chance that I can perform those austerities? I have no chance. So we also tell to Krishna like this is impractical for this age of Kali Yuga. We can't practice these things. So he just tells Arjuna, you should practice Bhakti Yoga. And what is the process then that is given? And Gaur Govinda Maharaj explains that in order to understand Krishna, in order to come to Krishna, we need to love Krishna. To always think of Krishna, we need to love Krishna. And then he explains, but how do we do that? How do we know how to do that? And this is actually very easy. Because Krishna has given instruction in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come 500 years ago and has given us an easy process by which we can attain love of Godhead. And this process has been actually mentioned at the end of this purport of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is our austerity. Prabhupada told his disciple one time that the austerities that we have to do in this age of Kali Yuga, given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is so magnanimous, so merciful, is chanting, dancing, taking prasadam. And even that is too difficult for us now. That we can't just follow the simple process of chanting, 16 rounds he gives, and taking some prasadam, and dancing, and, being in kirtan, associating with devotees, like this. And this morning also we were reading Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given an order to all living entities of this age of Kali. He said that all of us, everyone should become a spiritual master. Oh, and I said, wow, even me? I can become a spiritual master? I mean, really? And yes, everyone, whether one is a doctor, whether one is a lawyer, a gardener, a warrior, a politician, everyone can become a spiritual master. And how does Prabhupada describe who is a spiritual master? It's somebody that is versed with the science of Krishna consciousness. You just have to know who Krishna is, There's so many examples where Prabhupada has asked his devotees before he gave them sannyas initiation, because he also talks about renunciation. He asked them one single question. You know the question he asked them? He asked them, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So his disciple, before they took sannyas to renounce order, he would just ask them that question, who is the Supreme Personality? And the devotees were so shocked. They thought it was a trick question. Just look at Prabhupada. Krishna? And then Prabhupada would say, are you sure if it's Krishna? That's the point. We have to be sure. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no doubt. Just like a child, innocent, he would just, hear and have faith. Yes, Krishna is the Supreme Person, like this. And he'll go everywhere and tell everyone, Krishna is the Supreme Person. In that capacity, that child is a spiritual master. Also, there are other requisites, obviously, to become a spiritual master. One has to be also a Goswami. Go the senses and Swami, master, so we have to control the senses. Vachu Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam. Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Instruction all the different senses that we have to control in order for us to be able to preach all over the world. So one of the orders of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also this: we should preach this Krishna consciousness all over the world. So it is up to us to actually share this knowledge everywhere. And the other instruction he gives us is that we should at least chant 16 rounds. 16 rounds daily. One of the other instructions Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives is that we should associate with devotees as well. So now, there's a particular verse, and I'm not going to look for it just for the sake of time, but it's a verse in Sri Upanishad where one devotee of Krishna actually describes how this effulgence, Brahman of Krishna, is so blinding. It's so blinding, it's so effulgent that it's so blinding. So what he asked, please Krishna, may you remove your effulgence so I may see your beautiful face. The same as Arjuna, when Krishna shows his universal form, with so many, heads and teeth and this horrific form, and he becomes afraid. And he asks Krishna one thing: Krishna, please, can you come back to your original form? Satchidananda Vigraha, your form with 2 arms. I'm bewildered, I'm disturbed by this form of yours. So the Bhakta is only interested in seeing this very sweet form of Krishna, because it's that particular form of Krishna in Vrindavan is Madhuram. It's very sweet. It's very sweet. It's one of those qualities, and the devotee is very attracted by that particular form. That's why he wants to engage in devotional service and thinks of nothing else except devotional service to the Supreme Person, Lord Krishna. So now, talking about the effulgence, and because it's Kartik Mass, what we can do is to pick one particular pastime. I won't go into the details, but it's just to show how sweet Krishna can be, even in connection to his Brahman or effulgence. So as we know, Krishna is a very mischievous boy in Vrindavan, and he can very much, for the pleasure of his devotees, enter into the house of the gopis with his different friends in order to steal some butter. So this is a very recurrent theme. And then when he goes, so the gopis understand, oh, this little boy, he will come and steal our butter again. So they try to hide these pots of butter into a very much elevated place, and also into storage rooms where it's dark, you can see nothing. And there's actually a beautiful painting, you can see this, where Krishna just somehow, he like a spy, he manages to enter the gopi's house without being noticed. And with his brother Balaram, what do? Is that with the effulgence, just with the effulgence, they light up the whole room. So they are able to see exactly what they are doing, and making up, putting stool and climbing on it to try to steal the butter like this. And on one of those paintings, you see Mother Yashoda looking for them with a stick, you see, and Balaram looking behind like this. Maybe you've seen that picture before. Yeah. It's a beautiful picture and it's very nice. And you see Krishna's effulgence lighting the whole room, Balaram effulgence lighting the whole room. So this is what devotees are interested in, to see the particular Lord performing his sweet pastime, his sweet lilas. So especially during this month, it is very nice for devotees to hear about those pastimes and to gain a lot of spiritual benefit like this. So about this particular verse, I think I'm gonna stop here. I think that's enough for me. So if, dear devotees, you would like to correct, make any types of comment or add anything or subtract anything, please, you are welcome. I would like to say that if I have said anything that was correct or inspiring or anything like that, this is due to the mercy of my spiritual master. And if I have said anything that was incorrect, then that is just my own conditioning and my own mistake. So please forgive me for that. So if you would like to add something, please raise your hand and we can go further into those this nectar of Krishna Katha.
I just have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
This verse is talking about the Omkar. So what is the difference between the Omkar and the Mahamantra?
What is the difference between the Omkar and the Mahamantra? Oh, that's a tough question, man. You're putting me on the spot. So the Omkar is impersonal. The Mahamantra is very personal. The Omkar is the representation of Brahman, so the impersonal future of the Lord. So we know that actually God is known through three aspects. We have heard about this before. So the first aspect of the absolute truth, because the absolute truth doesn't come just like, as one thing, it comes in three features. So one of those features is the Brahman, another feature is the Paramatma, so the Paramatma within the heart of everyone, and then we have Bhagavan, so the personal aspect of the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. So when we understand that yogis, by chanting the Omkar, what do they attain? They attain the impersonal effulgence of Brahman, And those yogis who meditate on the Paramatma within the heart, they attain the darshan of, the Paramatma within the heart, within the atoms, within everything. And by such performance of austerities, meditation, they attain so many different mystical powers, And by just being engaged in devotional service, which means chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then one attains a personal aspect of the absolute truth, which is Shri Krishna Bhagavan himself, like this.
So it's about having a relationship with the Lord.
Yes.
Through his personal name.
Exactly. So we may explain, the Mahamantra and what it means, again, because sometimes we may chant, but without an understanding of what it actually means, that which we are chanting, then it's very difficult ultimately to attain the goal, because we need to have a certain understanding, a certain mood in which we are chanting, and especially to avoid offenses. So when we are chanting Hare, what does Hare refers to? It refers.
Hara?
Yes.
Hara, that is supreme devotional energy.
Yes, the supreme internal devotional energy of the Lord, the Ladini Shakti of the Lord, also known as Srimati Radharani. Exactly. Right? So, like we understand, without her, Srimati Radharani, it is impossible for us to attain Krishna. Because she is Bhakti Maya, which means she's the embodiment itself of love of God, Prema Maya. She's the embodiment of that love. No one can excel for her devotion to Lord Sri Krishna. And as such, everyone needs to ask for her mercy in order for us to understand God, And then, like Mataji said the other time, it's beautiful also. If I remember properly, you explained that also we understand that Radha Krishna is actually one Atma, Eka Atma. It's one single soul. So they manifest into two. But this exchange of love is there for the benefit of the pastimes or rasa of the Supreme Lord, like this. But then when we go to Krishna, so what does Krishna refers to? What is the meaning of Krishna? Krishna. Can separate into two. Anyone, please? All attractive. So Krishna is all attractive. Or also it is described that Kri actually refers to existence, reality itself. Kri. And Na means Ananda. Is a reference to Ananda. This is how the Acharyas separate Krishna. So in that sense, yes, when we try to approach Krishna, we should understand he is the source of everything. Ham Prabhava Savasya. That everything comes from him, whether the spiritual energies, the material energies, and therefore he is the object of our worship, he is the object of our love, like this. So now we have these two, Hare and Krishna, say Radha and Krishna, that are dancing on our tongues. So in this relationship, we are serving So what we are actually asking while we are chanting the Mahamantra is, please, Radha, engage me in the service of Krishna by assisting Radha in her service to Krishna, like that, And then we have Rama. So can anyone say, what does Rama? What is the name Rama? Anyone? It's not a trick question.
Reservoir of all pleasure.
Reservoir of all pleasure. Yes. And this is Hari Pasha Prabhu, if you ever heard about him. He's a great scholar, and he has done many classes and lectures on these particular topics. And he described that actually it's because you can see that this exchange between Radha and Krishna, this dance that they are doing, is actually bringing a lot of pleasure to Krishna. And because Krishna is in that state of ecstasy, of bliss that is given to him by Srimati Radharani, therefore he's called Rama. Because he can feel so much bliss out of that loving exchange. So when we are chanting, also, it is a matter of trying to please the divine couple in Guru Vrindavan. And by pleasing them, we attain our perfection, and we are also coming to that eternal bliss that we can feel. So this ecstatic bliss that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not only described, but also demonstrates in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the various symptoms of crying, and having your hair standing on end by just chanting the Mahamantra. But it's very difficult for us to get to that point, because again, we may commit offenses. So I'm just repeating at this point what has already been said. But the point of it is that we should understand the difference between the Omkara, the Mahamantra, and what it means to chant this Mahamantra. And in its various meanings, we can meditate on the meaning of the Mahamantra, which will help us ultimately to attain Krishna Prema. Is there anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I was reading in the recalling something from the Harinam Chintamani by Bhakti Thakur, in which he says that the primary names of Krishna, or God, is more potent than the secondary names. And the secondary names are like referring him to as God, the Great One, glorifying his all-pervading aspect, like in his Brahman effulgence. But it's always like the removal of all obstacles, but it's always in the mood of wanting something from the Lord. My provider,
like that.
But the secondary names of Krishna is the original names of Krishna that reflect all his pastimes in the spiritual world, in which we can be a part of and have a relationship with. So that's why they're more potent and they can grant love of Krishna.
Wonderful. That's so wonderful.
Like Yashoda Dular, Damodar, Yashoda Damodar.
So that's true, and it has been said that even when we say Krishna doesn't pay as much attention as when we call him Yashodananda, or the dear one of Mother Yashoda. So he pays more attention when you mention his devotee within his name, because he's so attached to his devotees. And again, we understand that Krishna is Bhaktavatsarya. That means that he is very dear to his devotees, and his devotees are very dear to him. Like this. And this is one particular feature, that sweetness, that we may not find in this other Svarupa, in his other manifestations. So, does anyone else have any more questions or commentaries? Anything about the topic at hand? Who is Krishna? What is Brahman? What is Omkar? What is Mahamantra? Hare Krishna?
I have some questions about Omkar.
Yes.
I don't know a lot about it. Perhaps you could give us a sum up in a few sentences.
A few sentences.
Yeah, what it is.
So it is described. Bataji, you can correct me. So this Omkar in Krishna has many verses actually. He says that he is the original of this Omkar. But the way it is spelled, is A-U-M. A-U-M, Om, So it is this describes actually three aspects or potencies of the Lord. So in the Omkar we have A, which is like the I'm not an expert in Sanskrit grammar, but basically this A refers to Krishna. This U will refer to Srimati Radharani or devotional service, and this M which refer to the Jiva, And basically, this is another interpretation and a way to understand the Omkar Om, because it basically includes the absolute truth. Everything is found within this Omkar, And by chanting this Omkar, it is also said we ultimately are purified and then are attained. And this particular topic we haven't spoken about is in the purport in the verse. It also talk about how in the student stage of life as brahmacharya, one should practice also, in his studies this Omkar chanting, because this is really beneficial for our purification and attaining various transcendental knowledge of the absolute truth like that. So it is unlimited, so there's so much that can be said, and I would say that I'm not qualified in terms of like the how much I can say about this particular topic. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki Jai. Shri Srimad Mahaprabhu Shri Gauranitai ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So one thing I can tell you is that because of the mercy of Prabhupada, I have absolutely no knowledge when it comes to the Vedas, when it comes to all the different types of scriptures and all different types of knowledge that one can acquire in so many, a lifetime. I have absolutely nothing. But only by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada I know one thing, and that is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is the only thing I know. And don't even ask me to really explain. I just know what I'm supposed to do is to chant this Mahamantra. So you asking me about the Omkar and all that stuff, I'll tell you, I don't know much about it. All I know is that, my spiritual master has asked me to chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and that's enough for me to attain perfection. So I'm not expert. Beyond what I can say, what I can remember about what various devotees have spoken about the Omkar, it's not something that I'll be an expert in telling you much information about it, because I would just end up chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra anyway. So this is as much as I can go in terms of explaining or giving you much knowledge about the Omkar. Sorry.
No, but thank you.
Maybe Mataji can explain. She has so much knowledge,
Much also, as you said about the Omkar, except that before I became a devotee,
yes,
I was part of the impersonal school. My family was brought up in Arya Samaj,
okay,
where they just worship the impersonal form. They do yagyas, they chant the Omkar, So I was brought up like that.
Yeah.
So, but I never found fulfillment. I never found that happiness and that joy of having a relationship with the Lord until I searched for and found ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada, who gave the essence of the Vedas. As you say, is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And as this verse explains, that the Omkar is recommended for other ages.
Yes.
Where people were very much advanced, they could focus their mind on the impersonal and do all these austerities. And therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us the easiest way, which is the personal, most beautiful names of the Lord, to connect with Him directly and have a relationship with Him. And that's, as they say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating.
Yes.
So, by many people doing this process, we see the change of heart, the change of people's lives, and the results they achieve. It's like doing an experiment, right?
Yeah, we can do an experiment. And this is why many devotees also describe that actually merging into the Brahman, the effulgence of the Lord, is not different than hell for them. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's a little extreme, you know? Still, when you are merged into the Brahman, there's no suffering, you know, and you're experiencing bliss, you know, which is called the Brahmananda, is the bliss one experiences within the Brahman. But for devotees, it's like hell. Why? Because there's no relationship with Krishna. And wherever there's no relationship with Krishna, it is hell for devotees, you know.
And that's why you can fall from that
You
position,
can fall from that,
because
yeah.
the nature of the soul is seeking relationship.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
if they don't find that in the Brahma journey,
Exactly.
then they fall down again to the material.
That's why the bliss of being engaged in devotional service to their Lordship, Shri Radha, Krishna, Gauranga, Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, and so on, is so much superior. It's just immeasurable. Then it is described that one drop, you know, or like the entire bliss of Brahmananda cannot equal one drop of bliss one experiences by devotional service. No one, you know. So you can imagine the difference into this different aspect of the absolute truth of the Brahman and the personal aspect of Krishna. Again, I'll give you one experiment. Would you rather right now be in some isolated place chanting Omkar by yourself, just trying to meditate on the impersonal Brahman, which means no form at all, or be here with the devotees, chanting, dancing, and taking prasada?
I prefer this.
Right, exactly. It's not even, you know, such a, you know, what to say, a hard question for a devotee. You know, we need relationship, because after some time you get bored, and the mind can be diverted in so many different ways. Again, as Mataji has mentioned many times, this is not a process for this age of Kali, because we are not qualified to practice these various types of processes. So we accept Bhagavad Gita the same way Arjuna accepts Bhagavad Gita. He says, Krishna, I will do as you say. And we surrender to Krishna and do as he said in order to please him like that. And that is devotional service. So whatever position we may have within this world, you know, whatever job, whatever situation we may have, the important thing is just to try and follow the instruction of Krishna within Bhagavad Gita, chant the Maha Mantra, and come to the temple. So I would just end by this, because this is, I think, an important topic as well. That this is something that was shared to us with Nitachan by Sundarananda Prabhu. So he gave us a call, and he expressed to us what is the mood that one should have when coming to the temple. So he also mentioned it, that all these different various types of yogis, sages, and they are doing all these austerities, but there's a sense of taking, a mood of, you know, I want something out of it, you know. There's some like self-interest, you know. They say actually the devotee, when we come to the temple, we should have the exact opposite mood. It should just be entirely a mood of giving. So that is actual devotional service, that we are trying to give, not to take, especially when we come to the temple and we are associated with devotees. We don't have anything in our consciousness saying that let me go pray to Bhagavan Sri Krishna because I need this in my life, because I need to solve this, or because I want this or that, whatever it may be. That this mood of giving should always be there without expecting anything in return. And this is when we are talking about, you know, pure devotional service. And then what happens is magical, because then Krishna reciprocates with us. And he provides everything that we need without us needing to ask for anything. Because how would such a loving parent, if we take it as such as Sri Krishna, just, you know, leave us, his children, to starve, especially if, you know, they are trying to worship, love him, and to serve him like that. Impossible. So we have to have this type of faith, and obviously follow the instruction of our superiors, and try to have this mood when we come to the temple of giving to the devotees and never taking. And in this particular mood, everything becomes perfect, you know. And then we make advancement, but also we get, you know, facilities to have a new temple for Lisbon, and so many things that can happen just by surrendering and giving to Krishna without expecting in return. So many magical things can happen like that. So thank you so much. I think I'm gonna end here. If anything at all, is it okay on time? Like, or is it still time? I don't know what I'm doing. So, yes, Brother J.
Can I ask you a short question? Is then a minute time?
It matter. You decide. I'm just okay. So maybe later. I can answer questions later.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
fine. So we can end
We
here.
have Aarti to do.
Okay. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki
Jai.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.